England, we go to Maine Senator Angus King live in Washington, D.C. Good morning, Senator. Thanks for being with us. I know you sit on the Senate Intelligence Committee. You can't talk particulars there, but did any of the information that you gleaned from your briefings earlier this week change your view on this?
Well, I haven't decided, to be honest with you, and I'm not being coy. I am drinking up information from all sources. I had 2 classified briefings yesterday and then sat in the peanut gallery to watch the Foreign Relations Committee deliberations and hearings with Senator Kerry. I'm going from here to a classified Armed Services Committee briefing. There are really a 2 or 3 questions that have to be answered. Number one, did the Assad regime sponsor this chemical attack? There doesn't seem to be much doubt there was a chemical attack. Was it the Assad regime? That's an intelligence question. That's one that the intelligence community feels with a high level of confidence is the case. But I really want to push and probe. I mean, we've seen the movie before of getting into a war in the Middle East with poor intelligence. So I'm going to push on that. The second question is, if that's the case, what do we do? What are our responsibilities? What is our response? And the third question is, what are the ramifications if we act, if we strike at the Syrian regime in some way? What are they going to do? What does Iran do? What does Russia do? So this is one of the toughest issues I've ever had to try to sort out, because every time I think I get it figured out, then there's another consideration. A final piece is what the president's doing. I think there's got to be international support for this. If we're in the position of enforcing an international norm against chemical warfare or chemical weapons use, then it ought to be an international effort, it seems to me. And so I think the progress the president makes with other countries is also important.
Senator King, always appreciate your thoughtfulness on this issue. And of course, Senate Armed Services Committee going to give you more data just in less than an hour. I know you're going to that. Right. Let me put this to you. I know that you make reference now to the weapons of mass destruction that we pursued in Iraq, found out they weren't there, as it turns out. So there's caution in that regard. People on the congressional side, they're concerned about this declaration of war. The president says this isn't a declaration of war. It's not going to be Afghanistan. It's not going to be Iraq. This is a limited tactical strike. What's the difference between what he's proposing and the drone attacks that we're already allowing?
Well, I think I don't think there is a lot of difference. I think it's a very similar situation, but he's looking for particular authority to do this kind of strike, not under the broad authority that was passed after September 11th. And by the way, I applaud him for taking the step of coming to Congress with this. It's a gutsy call, and I think it's the right one. I think Congress should be engaged. Congress is pretty good of, sitting on the sidelines and criticizing. And in this case, he's put us on the spot, and we're going to have to cast a vote that's going to have some real results. So I think it's different enough. What they're talking about is a very limited strike, not to change the war, not to get us into the war, not to determine the outcome of this, what is a civil war, but in order to show the world and show Assad and frankly show Iran and North Korea and other people that they can't use chemical weapons with impunity, that this is something the international community said no to 90 years ago.
All right.
And that's the deal.
Appreciate that, Senator Angus King from Maine. Appreciate your thoughtfulness on the subject. Look forward to chatting with you in future. Be sure to stay with